and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that takes you through the F1 games that Codemasters have released since 2010, driving the worst or one of the worst cars on the grid. And we're in Season 2, we're in 2011, we've got 4 rounds left, and as you can see, surrounded by green and yellow, we're driving for Team Lotus, the team that would start off as Lotus, then become Team Lotus, then become Caterham, and then disappear in a very short space of time. And it is the Korean Grand Prix. Yeah, 4 rounds left. Korea, India, Brazil, Abu Dhabi. That's all we've got left of this season. And a fairly struggle bus type season it's been. I'll show you what I mean. In the standings, we're P16 with 12 points, which sounds like loads for a Team Lotus car, but I will go into detail about that in a minute. Level on points with Adrian Sutil, who caught up to us last round in Japan. Pastor Maldonado there behind us, he's our rival. Then it's Barrichello with points, and it's D'Ambrosio, Glock, Kartike and Liuzzi and Trulli at the back with 0 points at the moment. At the top end of things, Sebastian Vettel leads the way by 3 ahead of Mark Webber, with Fernando Alonso in 3rd, slipping back a little bit after a Japanese Grand Prix to forget for him. He's now got Jenson Button close on his tail. Lewis Hamilton a bit further back and probably out of it in terms of fighting for the title, with Felipe Massa 6th. Michael Schumacher's had a good couple of rounds. He's in 7th and he's well clear of Vitaly Petrov. Then it's Rosberg and Perez, who's got Alguersuari close on his tail. Then it's Heidfeld, Kobayashi, Di Resta, Buemi, and then back to us. And in the constructors, Red Bull leading the way by almost 100 points ahead of McLaren. They should have their 2nd constructors in a row wrapped up here. Ferrari a little further back in 3rd, slipping off McLaren after a couple of bad rounds for them. Mercedes very much on their own in 4th, with Lotus Renault in 5th. Then in Sauber, Toro Rosso, Force India. There we are in P9 ahead of Williams and Virgin Racing and HRT. Obviously the initial, or the first kind of port of call in terms of objective is always to beat Virgin Racing and HRT in these first few seasons, or whatever combination of new teams it is. Obviously last season we were Virgin Racing, so we had to beat Team Lotus and HRT. Next season will be HRT, so we'll have to beat Team Lotus and Virgin Racing there. But 12 points looks great for Team Lotus because they never scored any in real life. However, that all came in one round, one glorious round at Singapore where we took 4th, with the top 6 all dropping out. We led that race for a brief period. We managed to hold on to P4 near the end. Probably could have had a podium, but lost out a little bit in the pit stops. Then we moved to Japan, where we got an incredible pole position in this car, just by virtue of getting through to Q3 in wet weather conditions, and then just staying behind everybody as they all drove around in a bit of a train. Having a bit of space to ourselves meant that we could just rattle up a better lap time. We took pole, we led for a little bit, and then we fell off as the race went on, got caught up in the pits, ended up all the way down in P16. Quite the position loss. And then we head to Korea, a race that didn't do us any favours last season. We got disqualified from the Korean Grand Prix last year, much like we did in Spain in 2010. We bettered that result in Spain this year. I'm kind of hoping it's going to be the same in Korea, but it's a circuit I really still don't have an awful lot of memory for. Like places like Japan, Singapore, even with the additions and changes that the older version of the track are going to have compared to the newer ones, you still sort of know your way around enough to be able to be like, okay, cool, I need to slow up here, I need to turn left here, I go right here, and blah, blah, blah. Korea, we've only driven once, and we'll only drive it once more after this. It lost its status on the F1 calendar in 2012, so 3 races, and then it's gone. And it's a circuit I couldn't get rhythm on in 2010, and I'm worried that that's going to be the case in 2011. So the likelihood of kind of adding to our points tally here could be quite slim. And then we move on to India, a circuit we haven't driven in an F1 car for a very long time, basically since that dropped off the calendar in 2013, 2014. So the next 2 could be quite problematic, and then it's Brazil, Abu Dhabi to end the season. And then it's hello to 2012. But enough talk. Let's go to practice this Yonggam circuit. And as we do, we'll talk about the 2011 Korean Grand Prix. The Yonggam circuit in South Korea was the site for the 16th round of the season, and after Vettel had wrapped up the driver's title in the last round in Japan, Red Bull were looking to complete the double here. There was also a celebration for McLaren as they competed in their 700th Grand Prix. This was a fairly uneventful affair, save for a collision between Rosberg and Alguersuari in the second session, as the Toro Rosso left the tricky pit exit. Officials moved to set up a set of warning lights at the pit exit, though Ferrari suggested that the exit should be reconfigured, something that the circuit would look to do in future events. Schumacher, Hamilton and Button topped the sessions in that order, with champion Vettel in close proximity across each session. Qualifying saw the traditional elimination of Team Lotus, Virgin Racing and HRT, joined this time by Rubens Barrichello. Daniel Ricciardo would not set a lap time due to an electrical fault, but was allowed to take the race start by the officials. Michael Schumacher was the surprise name to drop out in Q2, lining up 12th between the Toro Rossos who'd set very competitive times. They'd be joined by Maldonado, Senna and the two Sauber's. While at the top end of things, Lewis Hamilton broke Red Bull's 16-race streak of pole positions, taking his first pole since Canada 2010, just beating out Vettel. Button would take third, ahead of Webber and the two Ferraris, Massa once again out-qualifying Alonso. When the lights went out, there was contact in the mid-pack between Buemi and the Sauber cars, though everybody managed to continue. Hamilton would lead through the first couple of corners, but Vettel stuck close behind in the slipstream to pass the Brit into turn 4 and take the lead. Massa had managed to jump both Webber and Button, with Button attempting to get back past the Brazilian into turn 4. He was forced out wide, and the delay allowed Webber not only to pass Button, but to get past Massa as well. After the initial pit stops, Button found himself behind Rosberg, the pair spending a couple of laps switching places until Button eventually came out on top. On lap 17, Petrov collided with Michael Schumacher, ending both of their races. While the Russian was battling with Alonso, he managed to outbrake himself and careered straight into the back of the Mercedes. Positions switched through the order for the rest of the race, Webber and Hamilton battling after the second pit stops through a number of corners, Hamilton eventually coming out on top. Alonso attempted a longer middle stint but had to bail on his tyres, bringing him behind Massa, Webber and Button. He would close in on the group in front, but he was unable to get back past those he was fighting earlier on. It would be Sebastian Vettel who took victory, his first podium since Germany, ahead of Hamilton and Webber. The double podium for Red Bull ensured that they defended their Constructors' title with races to spare, sealing the Drivers' and Constructors' double just a round after Vettel defended his Drivers' title. Button would still manage to come home ahead of Alonso and Massa, while Alguersuari, Rosberg, Buemi and Di Resta would complete the points. Buemi's 9th place would in fact be the final points of his Formula 1 career. How's our form then, coming into the Korean Grand Prix? Well, qualifying has been refreshingly decent for the past few rounds. Pole in Japan last time out. But this circuit isn't one I'm particularly confident around. Even with the different handling model in F1 2011, I cannot get a rhythm around this track, although started to feel it in practice, starting to find our way, especially through the middle sector, which is a long series of sweepers. But keeping up our decent qualifying is likely to be coming to an end here. I think we've just got to aim for our traditional spot on the grid. Let's go for P19 and hope that we can find a way to pull out a lap before the end of the session, maybe sneak into Q2.
Think you'll have any trouble getting into the next session, so don't push too hard.
In the garage then for the first part of qualifying at the Korean Grand Prix. Practice went okay. Feel like actually I can get a bit of a rhythm together in this year's version of Korea. It doesn't feel quite as stunted and stilted as it did in 2010. And we came out at the end of P1 1.2 seconds off the pace in the middle of the pack, P12, which isn't bad going at all. Whether that's going to translate in qualifying is going to be a very different story. So let's get out there, get some laps in, see if we can get through.
You've moved into 19th place with that last lap.
So let's take a look at our fastest lap then. A little wide into turn 1 and through the exit as well. But as we head out onto this back straight, we try and get on the DRS early, which nearly spins up the rears, but it's now just waiting and waiting and waiting to get to the braking point. Absolute maximum attack as we brake maybe a little late just as we go over the rise, which sends us just a touch wide. We come out of that corner though in not too bad condition, heading up to start this more technical flowing middle sector. Nice and early on the brakes, keeping it lovely and tight to the apex, as close as we want to get. A little wide on exit to try and slingshot the car round, but then it's a lot of just waiting, getting our angles all wrong in the middle, which means that the car never quite seems stable. We're about half a second down in first sector, but that means we're only, our best time at least, just a tenth behind Satil. Very wide through there, having to get on the exit curb, and then a little early through the next corner, bouncing over the apex on the inside. Unsettles us a touch, but not too bad. It's then just holding, waiting to get on the power through these sweepers in the middle. We're now a tenth up, but still 9/10 of a second off getting through. Once again, bouncing over a couple of curbs and getting maybe a little too wide in a few of these corners. And then it's a case of just, again, waiting before we can really get fully on the power in the final corner, almost get too wide. Cross the line, no improvement.
Your times are a little off the pace, particularly in sector 1.
And we're right in Q1 and in our traditional spot of P19, some 9/10 of a second off De Resta and over a second off Adrian Sutil, but still 2 seconds ahead of Kartikeyan Trulli, Glock, D'Ambrosio, Liuzzi and the like. 2 seconds and more ahead of those guys, as we tend to be. I talked about finding rhythm in practice. Didn't find that in qualifying, even binned it coming out the last corner, which didn't really help my time. But not a huge amount more we could expect. Our traditional P19 spot is about where you'd expect us to be normally. The past couple of qualifyings have been just exceptions to the rule. I feel like this could be quite a long race at Yongan, but let's head over to the race for the 2011 Korean Grand Prix. Welcome on in then to the garage for the 2011 Korean Grand Prix, and as you can see, P19 on the grid. For the first time since Hungary, we've had a nice little run of Q2 and even Q3 appearances the last few rounds, which had to come to an end sometime, and it was probably going to be at a circuit that I don't particularly enjoy driving. I remember enjoying it back in the day, back at the time it was on the calendar, but haven't been able to get used to it again in 2010 or 2011. But let's take a look at the grid and we'll talk about our hopes for this one. Fernando Alonso took pole ahead of Sebastian Vettel, Mark Webber, Jenson Button. And then it's Hamilton, Massa, Rosberg, Petrov, Heidfeld, Schumacher, that traditional top 10 that's been there for most of this season. Then it's Kobayashi, Alguersuari, Buemi, Perez, Sutil in 15th. Then it's Maldonado, our rival, 16th with Barrichello. Then Di Resta, ourselves, ahead of Kartikeyan, Trulli, Glock, D'Ambrosio, and Liuzzi bringing up the rear. And look, this isn't a circuit I particularly get on with. Cannot find a rhythm here. Faster than the guys behind me, so should still be able to keep away from our fellow backmarkers. But I don't think I'm going to have quite the pace to keep up with the guys in front. It's a short run to turn 1 and then that long straight down to, I think, turn 3 is what it's designated as. Maybe we make up a couple of positions, but I can't imagine we're going to go far up the field. After having some really high kind of ambitious targets in the last couple of rounds, P19 I think has got to be the aim here. Maybe we'll get lucky with a couple of people dropping out. Maybe we'll jump a couple of people. Did see the AI in quali getting it all wrong in certain places, so maybe we can pinch a couple of positions that way. But just don't really get on with this place, and like I say, should be fast enough for the guys behind, but not fast enough to the guys in front. But let's get into the race then, to the grid for the Korean Grand Prix. Alonso on pole, Red Bulls around him. There's Maldonado 16th. You'll see us just in the background, and then right behind us, Jarno Trulli.
Last race we finished mid-table. We need to try and do better than that. Let's give this 100%.
Engineer Andy trying to get us to go forwards as we get the 5th red light, and away we go. Starts have been our strongest suit this season, and we get a little bit blocked out by Barrichello coming back across. It's everybody just sort of stops. Barrichello's lost his front wing on the back of Adrian Sutil. That's going to drop him way down the order. We're going to go 3 wide down the straight here with Sutil and Maldonado. Backing out a little early. Gain another couple.
Aggression when you're overtaking. We don't want to lose places because of a penalty.
P13. Trying to back off a little earlier again just to avoid the back of the car in front. Alguersuari did try and fight it back, and much like quite a few races this season, we found ourselves way up the order after the first few corners. Kobayashi gets back underneath us, but we'll try and run with him. He clips the front of the car, nearly loses it across the front of us, and eventually just parks it right in the middle of the road in front of us, but we don't get any damage. He doesn't go careering off the circuit, and we are P12 as we come to the end of the first lap. Not bad going, but you can see immediately losing the back of the Sauber. We'll end lap 1 in P12 with Alguersuari hunting us down. Barrichello way off the back of the field at the moment. He's got to go and replace his front wing. He's only just entering the 3rd sector, so we might be able to stay in front of the Brazilian, but that'll probably be about it other than the other new teams, I feel. Alguersuari looks to the outside. Oh, I brake late. That'll let the Spaniard through. We'll stay ahead of Maldonado though.
You can now use DRS.
Maldonado's going to have DRS down this long straight. Should see him breeze past, but let's just try and hold the Williams off. There he goes. Again, trying to be a bit later on the brakes, running too deep. Maldonado will go by, but Buemi is going to try and go past us as well. Just about stay ahead of the Toro Rosso. As I mentioned earlier, this circuit will be off the calendar again in a couple of seasons. After being introduced in 2010, it will only last, I think, till 2012. We'll
Okay, the pits are clear.
get one more race out of it.
Soon.
It's going to be one of the circuits that we lose that I'm not going to be particularly upset about. See, we lose Turkey this season, we'll lose Valencia next, and I don't mind those circuits to drive, if I'm honest.
The pit crew are ready for you at the end of this lap. Pit this lap.
We're losing Maldonado. We've now got Sutil to worry about. Pit stop time at the end of this one. It's at least so far not going as bad as 2010 did. I mean, it's not going great, but it's not going as bad. The entry and exit here are tricky. Worst time to realise I didn't actually do a pit entry practice. I should really do for circuits that either aren't on the calendar or have changed drastically in the intervening years, but here we go. Into the pits, we managed to make it. Been followed in by Adrian Sutil, the rest are carried on. I feel like Adrian's probably going to jump us here in the Force India. Depends how held we get by Maldonado. We don't, fortunately. We do get held behind Sutil and Buemi. We get ahead of Timo Glock. We actually just got into the
We
pits.
fitted you with the prime tyres. You have 3 stops remaining.
Well, I think that's probably...
Buemi should be coming in to change his tyres within the next 4 laps.
Probably about our race as Carter Kane gets stitched up by Buemi. We should be able to jump the Indian driver and Trulli as well, who still need to pit. And I think early on we've found ourselves in our sort of true position. Stuck behind Carter Kane at the moment. Gained one from Barrichello's early demise. Although he is still circulating.
We can't afford to lose too much time. Go for the overtake.
All wrong on those curbs. Save it though.
Carter Kayan's next. Line him up for a pass.
Back off in that final corner. As, no, Trulli's in. We'll get past Trulli. And Jerome D'Ambrosio, and then
D'Ambrosio's car has been fitted with prime tyres. They're putting him on a
Cairn
longer
turned in. We're up to 17th, which suggests we've either lost somebody else or somebody else has fallen back. In fact, it's Sergio Perez that's gone backwards. He's down in 23rd, just ahead of Barrichello. And he's not having a good day, but whether that's just getting caught up, having to wait for people to exit the pits, or whether that's an issue he's had, I don't know.
You need to pit in this lap.
Time to head in for our second stop. It's been a fairly uneventful second stint, as I think it's going to be for the rest of this race. Fairly uneventful. Not entirely sure we'll remain on the lead lap all the way through either. Could be the quietest race we've had in a while.
Go now.
far enough ahead of the likes of Glock and Kartikay and Liuzzi and so on.
We've fitted the car with the option tyres. You have 2 stops to go.
You can get in and out well ahead of all of them. No sign of Perez or Barrichello on our relative who are back there. So far out of Trulli that we could go one after the other in effect. There's Perez on our relative now. Although seemingly still at the other end of that straight. Gonna close, that's for sure. Whether he's going to be bringing Barrichello with him.
We have a problem with DRS. You won't be able to activate it.
Problem with DRS as we're heading to our 3rd pit stop of the race, but obviously nowhere near anybody to use it. Perez is closing. Not massively, but it's closing. Demonstrating, I think, how much of an improvement this car's made over the season. It has gained a little bit of pace, that's for sure. I feel like if we were carrying this car through into another season, it would certainly get closer to the pack. Rear nearly goes on us, the tyres are done for. I mean, Perez is going to close right up to us. He's taking chunks out of us, but we are heading in, not pushing it too hard around the final corner. Looks like Sauber are coming out as well though, so yeah, Perez is in.
Go. The track is clear. Track is clear.
It depends if he comes out behind somebody. It looks like he will.
You only have to stop once now. 1 stop left.
Right behind Timo Glock. Might hold him up for a corner or two if we're lucky. Glock currently doing more than holding Perez up for 1 or 2 corners. Seems to be keeping him behind him for most of the lap.
In soon, within the next 5 laps.
Glock appears to be staying out as well, doing us an absolute favour right now. Perez has got past him with the DRS though, as you'd expect. We're going to be pitting on this lap for our final stop, and Perez has been really closing the gap to us. Holding on to P17 is all of a sudden looking quite difficult. May, however, still finish the full race distance. Be close if we do finish the full race, but normal race conditions, no sort of safety cars, no weird weather, no outstanding qualifying position or anything like that. We're not running near the front either, so it'll be pretty good going if we do. Oh, we nearly lose the rear there though. Tyres are gone. We're going to mean Perez is now right behind us. There he is. We pull it into the pits. Right, that's the Red Bull crew. Yeah, alright, maybe we will get lapped. Check to see what's happening behind us. Perez will beat us off pit lane. Pretty sure I see a McLaren. Yeah, blue flags.
So look after your tyres.
We do find ourselves a lap down, but
you need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
Thanks to the leaders coming by, we've managed to get back past Perez.
Hamilton's just posted the fastest lap of the race.
I don't know for how long here though. Typical really, we talk up about finishing the full race distance in normal conditions and then we come out of the pits to find we're already a lap down. Allow us to jump Sergio Perez, but we run deep there and nearly let the Sauber through. Probably going to have me done for down this long straight. We do have Webber behind us.
Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
Let Webber through.
Alonso's the fastest man on the track at the moment.
Nearly run into the Red Bull as we break late into that hairpin. Keeping us ahead of Perez at the moment. We're very wide. Managed to keep the Sauber behind us once again, but I don't think it's going to be long. The gap to the next back markers on the mini map. Perez to the outside into one.
Okay, you should see DRS back online now. We fixed the problem.
DRS is back, but it's Perez who's got that. When we send it up the inside, we can. And we managed to hold the Sauber out.
You're now in 17th.
Remaining just ahead of Checo. Again, just holding Perez to the outside into turn one. Well, was beat here just for the DRS and the sheer speed of that Sauber.
We're 4 places below where we need to be. Find your rhythm and try to pick up
We
your
send
pace.
it round the outside. Yes, we can. I'll fight tooth and nail for 17 at this
Schumacher's
point.
just put in an amazing lap, a new fastest lap for the race.
We've got leaders closing on us, so he's going to have to back off for them. A little wide, Perez side by side with us, but we're okay.
The car behind you passed. He's not racing you for position.
We have leaders coming through here. Perez finally backs off to let him go. Means I can also back off to let him go. They're all fighting into turn one. I've got the 2 Ferraris as well. At least get DRS from the leaders. We cost one of the McLarens a position to his teammate. We cost Alonso a position to his teammate. Perez tries round the outside. We'll block him off. We get wide Perez up the inside. He seems to have more power and traction and he's through. Don't think we're going to catch Sergio Perez as we start our final lap. He's already gone. But there's Jarno Trulli. Oh, and there's a McLaren off the side of the road. I don't know what's gone on there. But whatever it is, Perez is now being slowed up by Trulli as he's also trying to let Button back by, so we'll go back past Sergio Perez. Button was off the road, not sure what happened. But we're now back ahead of Sergio Perez. It's been a fairly lonely race for the most part. The early launch and being well ahead of where we should be dissipated quickly as we got held in the pit stops. Two fairly quiet stints out on our own. Perez closed in and has made the last stint in a bit fairly interesting. We don't run too wide this time. We've managed to keep him behind us, but the Sauber then. Oh no, we've gone wide. And get on the power quickly enough to take our position down the road again. As Mark Webber takes victory, vital for his title chances to try and defend his 2010 crown. Schumacher is right behind Sergio Perez, which means he's right behind us. But Perez is going to back off to try and let the German through, and we will get through in P17. Not the best race, but considering as we started P19, it's a gain.
Good race, well done. I'll see you back at the garage.
Well, there we go. P17 in the end ahead of Perez, Barrichello, Glock, Liuzzi, D'Ambrosio, Carter-Cayan and Trulli, who ended last. At the top end of things, you saw that Mark Webber took victory ahead of Hamilton and Massa, Vettel, Alonso, Button, then it was Schumacher. They were all kind of fighting near the end there. Rosberg takes P8 with Petrov and Heidfeld taking 9 and 10. So the normal sort of Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, Lotus, Renault top 10. There's Kobayashi, Alguersuari, Di Resta, Buemi, Maldonado and Adrian Sutil. What does that do to the drivers? Well, we remain 16th, equal on points with Adrian Sutil, Maldonado there in 18th, and it's Barrichello, D'Ambrosio, Glock, Carter-Cayan, Liuzzi and Trulli, still without points. And down the back end of things, at the top, Webber leads the way by 10 ahead of Vettel, then it's Fernando Alonso, cut a little ways back now, with Button not far behind him. Hamilton closes in a little bit, but maybe not enough. Then it's Massa in 6th, then Schumacher, Petrov, Rosberg, Perez holds on to P10, 3 ahead of Alguersuari still. There's Heidfeld, Kobayashi, Di Resta and Buemi. And in the constructors, we remain 9th ahead of Williams and Virgin Racing and HRT. At the top, 107 the gap for Red Bull. They are on the cusp with 3 rounds left, I think, to have this wrapped up. McLaren stays 2nd ahead of Ferrari. Then it's Mercedes well ahead of Lotus, Renault, then Sauber, Toro Rosso, Force India and ourselves. And well, yeah, exactly what you'd expect from the Korean Grand Prix. Not a particularly strong one, but also one where we can at least say we finished ahead of a couple of established cars. A fairly lonely race in the end, but one I think we can be proud of. We got disqualified in 2010 in Korea, and we've got one more chance in Korea to get a good result. But P17 in the end, not too bad. 3 rounds left now. The inaugural Indian Grand Prix, followed by more familiar terrain of Brazil and Abu Dhabi. I don't know if there's going to be a chance for me to score more points in the coming 3 races, but we're going to give it our best shot. We're already well ahead of where we expected to be in the Team Lotus T128. But that's Korea done for. Just one more Korean Grand Prix to go in 2012 before we don't see it again. But we look forward to something new in the next round at India. Join me for that one. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.